Hey everybody, it's another Monday. Mwenyenchi Monday. I love it. Taking back Kenya 2018 and beyond, and Prison Break Kenya 2018. We're breaking free. We're breaking free from corruption, from self, from greed. Service is our earnest endeavor, and that's what we're doing. And today I'm here with Cathy Kamau, and we want to talk about all things sustainability. Welcome, Cathy.
Thank you, Pastor Angie, and it's good to be back on the set.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to have you.
So, sustainability. I think I want to look at sustainability in the context of time.
Okay.
Probably even in the context of legacy.
Okay.
So when we're talking about sustainability, we're usually thinking about how to do things in a way that can ensure that they are done consistently. Over a period of time. Over a period
of time, yes.
And when we think about it right now, I think what's trending is the Sustainable Development Goals, the Agenda 2030, where the world's nations met at the United Nations and agreed to a compact that would see them making development strides by the year 2030. Okay. And because a lot of them are development based, the assumption is that every country has something that they need to get better at.
Okay.
So we're no longer looking at it from developed or undeveloped or underdeveloped.
It's improving
You're
what
saying
you have.
improving what you have.
Amazing.
So if it is a country that has an existing magnificent transport system, but they are lacking in how they manage carbon emissions, then that becomes their part of the agenda to pull.
Wow.
If it is somebody who doesn't have the transport system, then hello, can we work towards a sustainable transport system? And all throughout, the objective is to actually have how can we do it without being detrimental to the environment. We've only got one world, one earth, so to speak. Unlike all these TV series that we have going on. And so for me, when I bring it back into the context of Kenya, I know we've made really huge strides in nutrition, in reducing malnutrition and
even maternal health. We've done a lot in maternal health. Even education.
We've made really good strides. And even infrastructure.
Yes, definitely.
But I think now what we need to be asking ourselves is, are we consuming sustainably? Are we producing sustainably? And I think how that ties in with us as individuals, as citizens, is in how we view time.
Okay.
I think we look at time in, at least in the environment, I mean in the societies and communities that I've been engaging with locally in Kenya, people tend to think about time in terms of a microwave. Let's put something inside, 3 minutes, it's fast and ready.
It's out.
And this is even in how we approach entrepreneurship, how we approach businesses.
Yes.
You don't want to sustain.
Also, I saw the other day something that I remember Serem actually told us that she's our friend, but she told me that a business takes like 3-4 years to succeed.
Yes.
May shut down mine after. I was like, please, it's not moving anywhere, done. But actually, I was amazed, and you used to come back to that it takes time for a business to make the money back. Exactly. And I think that's why even passion needs to be there, so that passion drives you,
keeps you going,
and keeps you going for a longer period of time.
Yes. And so for me, sustainability is tied to time in how we approach it. If
so this is the legacy part, legacy building part of our development and our goals.
So that's what I was coming to. Sustainability, time, and legacy. How you view time actually determines how you will execute legacy or an activity that will leave a legacy. So how we are looking at time now, if we're looking at it that there will be others coming after us, or if you will, let's even go back in history.
That's my favorite statement. My favorite statement is there are others coming after you. Generations is my biggest statement. The impact of your choices on generations.
Absolutely.
Personal generations, generations in your city, community, environment, governance. What's the impact?
Yes. So I can look at it now and say sustainably. I don't think Kenya is where we need to be. I think that we are producing and throwing away much too much plastic. I think that we're eating at our trees as though we are eating with our teeth.
The tree project is, but people have really taken it up. Yeah,
yes.
that we really need to plant trees and plant many of them.
Exactly.
And just brought visuals back of Wangari Maathai and the way people really stress that for
Yes.
women for no reason.
I have heard that in Switzerland, for every tree you cut, you need to find a place to plant 50.
Really?
So you can imagine
amazing.
it's such a tiny, tiny country. Where are you going to get
a place to plant
50? So where is it? I mean, we've got water, well, not even water towers. If we look at our geographic spread using satellites and everything, you can actually see where you have the lowlands and the highlands. Can we collect water around those areas and plant trees around that system and grow a totally different ecosystem in the middle of a desert or a semi-arid area? Anyway, back to sustainability. So my interest, my passion would be to get people around seeing things longer than themselves, or even their children, because sometimes I think children grow so fast, you forget that there'll be grandchildren coming along the way. I want my children to find a tree that I played under, that I ate the mangoes.
It's so true.
A couple of years later. But beyond that, even for corporates, what are our companies, what's our private sector saying about sustainability? How are we doing our production? How are we doing labor? What are we doing with gender? Is it sustainable? What are we imparting to our children so that by the time they are the leaders, they have something to say up the way?
And I think, first of all, the one thing I'm thinking about is like for generations, and I'm thinking about my parents' generation, our generation, it's values. What values are we passing on? What's our integrity? What do we stand for? When I say I'm a Kenyan, what does that mean? What immediately, what picture comes into somebody's mind when we say that, you know, and positive things. Passing on the integrity, the values of integrity and time.
Yes. So basically what we're saying is that for us to engage in sustainable practices, sustainable behavioral patterns, sustainable initiatives, we need to be thinking about time beyond the 3 minutes of the microwave.
Okay.
Can we look at this beyond ourselves? Can we look at this beyond our children and see a little bit further? And then in line with that, you will find that you will now be able to be mapping out a legacy that lives on long after you. And actually, what comes to mind is Honorable Raila over the last 20, 30 years. He has been the face of opposition. But our democratic systems, to this point, have a lot to thank him for.
A lot.
You know,
we wouldn't be here.
Agitating, aggravating, questioning this, questioning that. So there is value. Yes. So that will be his legacy, because it is implanted in step-by-step electoral processes and how we have developed.
He really kept us in check, yeah?
Exactly.
He really kept us in check, made sure that we didn't go overboard, didn't overstep anything, kept everything in line, which is important, yeah? Somebody must be watching and saying, look, over here, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. Or even your behavior will be guided by somebody's watching this, so I can't go over the top. So I really love that. I love that.
Watching you.
You're watching me.
We are watching you.
Thank you for watching me. Yeah, like, what? You're watching me. Yes. But I really thank God for that as well. But I think he's got a part to play, and I don't want to get, I never want to get into the politics of that, you know, of just being tribal and saying that he hasn't been an amazing leader. I think he's been an amazing leader. There are places he's gone wrong, and many leaders have as well anyway.
Yes.
But I think the places that will remember him is for that, keeping us, I feel like checks and balances and correction and making sure that we do the right thing by also the people who are also his followers, you know. And I think that's great. But also, when you talk about sustainability, I'm just thinking about the recent pact that they made. That was, first of all, a big surprise.
Yes,
I was weeping, saying Jesus is Lord, hallelujah. You know, I was so amazed by that, you know, that the two principles came together and formed a pact. And you know, it's amazing. Even today I was watching something, I think on Citizen, and they were saying, you know, it's amazing how, you know, humanity has perplexed God for many years. When you make peace, they don't want. When we're fighting, we don't want. You wonder, so where is, so there are people who are not happy that peace has been achieved, but I think it was a very big up. I think it was a very great leadership step. It is something that we've modeled to the generation and to generations that will come, that we can make peace, that even if we don't agree. But for me, there are so many lessons there that I need to explore as well, because what about the people who are so extreme, you know, making extreme statements, extreme measures, you know, saying things like, now you want, how are you going to take that back now? Now the principals have made peace now. So I think it makes
you're left standing
there. So it makes me think, before you say things, you've got to really think about what you're saying and what could be the possible outcomes of this. And what if there's ever peace? What will you say? But for me, that was an amazing step, a very big moment for Kenya, a very proud moment for Kenya. I think a lot of people had been praying for the nation, and they felt like that is like, wow, God has answered that prayer. Something that looked impossible has become possible, you know. So my encouragement is there's a lot more impossible things that God is going to make possible.
And now that for me is, I guess, about the legacy. Then it goes back into time where probably wherever they were seated, I would like to believe that they thought beyond themselves.
They did.
And it's like the president has been saying, there is and there are other interests far much bigger than the individuals, and those are the lives of Kenyans, and Kenyans to come and Kenyans to be born. They need to find a place. But for you and me, Angie, and I will say this even to the women, generally I think, is that women are the carriers of the home.
They're the carriers of destiny.
An artist that my daughter was interviewing who said that for him, women are an indicator of the status of a society.
That is true.
When the society is doing well economically, the women are all dolled up. They've got a lot of bling hanging about, and even the fabric of their clothes is different from when poverty is abounding. So if that is an indicator to that level, imagine how much our children are a factor of what we speak in the kitchen.
That's true.
What we speak in the sitting
behind
room,
closed doors.
what we speak in the salon, when your daughter is being made the hair at a distance and you're here.
She's hearing the conversation.
She's hearing the conversation.
She's engaging in them.
And so and women tend to discuss things that are all round. It'll be business, it'll be school, it'll be, whereas maybe the guys just go and do soccer and rugby. But what I'm saying is that we tend, when God was creating woman as a support and as a friend and as a companion, there was a reason.
Yes.
So I think that there is an extra burden of responsibility.
I think so. On women?
On women, especially in the family and within our formal and informal organizations, in how they speak and preach sustainability, in how they preach time,
and how they preach legacy, and what gets carried on from one generation to another, and what they imbibe in that generation. I think that's very, very powerful. So for me, the two principles, they did a really good job by bringing that together. And I also want to agree on the power of women. I remember I went to one African nation, and you know how women are always like, now, women are always out there, they're in the farms, you find them busy carrying the firewood. Even when you travel up country, they're always busy fetching water, you know. And I found a nation, which shall remain nameless, where the women were, you know, and I call it Mungedio Corner. You know Mungedio Corner? Let me tell you, I just felt cold enter my body. Mungedio Corner is the idle corner.
Yes, the idle corner, the real
they
corner.
Were doing each other's hair. I almost collapsed in a heap. And I was shocked at my reaction. I was like, no. This now, I was like, this people are done now. If the women are sitting at the shopping center doing hair, together with the Jamas playing their games and the newspapers, you are finished. The women have to be at least be found. Yes, the men need to take their responsibility, because I don't want all the feminists writing to me out there. But there's a way women cannot be lost. Women, they set the temperature. You know, they're the SI unit, they're everything. So they've got to guide. You know, that's why it's encouraging. You see them farming the land, tilling the land, bringing up the children, going to get the firewood. They've got to be doing something, going to the marketplaces, corporate spaces. They have to, because they set the temperature for everything. But I think also in terms of like the, sustainable development, that we've got to understand our families and our children have to be self-sustaining. There are times I've said I would go and punish Althea for something I've heard. And she's like, Mom, please. I said no, because I just don't want even to imagine you could ever
be in that
space. So please, sit, let's talk now, because so there are so many things that and then you know how everybody says, I'll never be like my mother, and you
replicate her
perfectly to a T, no matter how much you hate it. That also makes me very happy. So I'm glad about sustainability, but breaking it down into what we need to develop. So did they decide in Kenya, like, did they decide what we need to get better at?
So what we've been doing, I think, is getting the SDG agenda integrated into different facets of government. So you will find, like in the telecommunications sector, they are looking at where we are going. And remember, we have Vision 2030 as well.
We do.
So by the time you integrate into those pillars,
no, it hasn't been. It's still there.
Yes, I think what's happened is that the narrative is a little bit probably less spoken, less shared, but it's, if you look at our road infrastructure plan, it's actually mapping to Vision 2030, even the big four. So I don't think we're that far off. I think it's just that the narrative has changed a little bit. But yes, I know, like in the telecommunication sector, they're aligning SDGs and our telecommunications needs as a country. I know SDG 1, is it zero hunger? We are on our way with scaling up nutrition, malnutrition for both mother and child, under 5 and stuff like that. And so you will also see, I heard the other day that there was an SDG workshop or something that pharmaceutical companies in Kenya had asked for because they want to align their business practices, production, etc. to SDGs. Awesome. So there's a bit of activity. This is year 2 because it was the agreement was actually signed in September 2015. So that's only 2016 and 2017. So this is year 3. I think we will begin to get traction, and hopefully that even with this new government and with pacts coming up, that it doesn't get forgotten along the way.
Amen. Yes. But at least we have a sustainable country, first of all.
Yes.
We have a country.
It is standing.
It is now standing. It is still.
God,
all the drama is over. And now we can push forward with development. Absolutely. And that is very encouraging and a very good starting point, Because I guess in times of war, you can't, what development are you going to do?
No,
so we thank God that the country is like that. It's intact. And Kenya has a way of bouncing back, and I love it. We always bounce back.
So, somebody told me to watch for July.
To watch for July.
We have bounced back.
That's the thing. And then we forget, which I like. We forget and we move on, you know. Till now, God forbid, that's the only part when the politicians come to remind us again that we are divided. But but now we'll move on, and we move on and we do whatever we need to do. So that's been amazing. I really love that conversation. Thank you for watching. My name is Angie Murenga with my guest, Cathy Kamau. It's Mwenyenchi Monday. I hope that you've been sort of revived and triggered and activated into sustainability, looking at time and looking at legacy and building your legacy. And remember, every day you build your legacy. God bless you. Taking back Kenya 2018 and beyond. Bye.